$552 a month. That's what a single scar on your face can pay you, tax-free, every month. Not the wound, not the surgery, the scar it left behind. And most veterans never claim a dime of it. Here's what nobody tells you. After a service-connected surgery or injury, that scar is its own rating that stacks on top of the condition underneath it. There's one add-on the VA never volunteers. A painful scar that can push a 30% rating to 40, worth almost $3,000 a year, and I'll show you the exact math before we're done.
This is Erica, and that's the piece people miss. Would you call a scar a wound? It isn't. The wound is the acute event, and it heals. What the VA actually rates is the mark that's left, the residual, and it rates that on its own.
Yeah, Michael here. And there are 3 separate ways a scar earns a check. So think of it like 3 meters running at once. 1, is it disfiguring on your head, face, or neck? 2, is it painful or unstable anywhere on your body? 3, does it limit how a joint or muscle moves? Each one is its own code, and a scar can hit more than one.
I'm Kim, and the numbers are real. A disfiguring scar on the face can reach 30%. That's $552.47 a month in 2026 for a veteran alone. A scar isn't a consolation prize, it's a rating.
So who's leaving this on the table? Almost everyone. You file for the knee, the rater fixes the knee, and the surgical scar just sits there unclaimed.
And none of this is our opinion. Every scar has an assigned home in the VA's rating schedule, 1 Section 38 CFR 4.118. It covers the head, face, and neck, then body scars, then painful scars, each on its own line with its own percentage.
Before the panel jumps in, there's one question we get under every scar video. Kim, this is the one you kept flagging.
It's the one everyone types, honestly. If my scar already healed and doesn't hurt, is it even worth claiming, or am I wasting my time? And I genuinely wasn't sure until this week. The answer depends on 3 things, and we're about to walk all 3.
Healed is not the same as worthless. If you want the full conditions list and a free tools page while you follow along, it's all at va.professorerica.com. Now let's open the real question. Is a scar really its own rating? Let's put the real question on the table because 2 smart people here read it differently. Erica reads the regulation and sees a scar as a clean, separate disability that stacks. Kim reads the same page and keeps asking whether the paperwork is worth it for the small ones. Both are right about something. Erica, start us.
Is a scar the same disability as the injury that caused it? It isn't, and the schedule treats them apart. Your knee condition is rated on how the knee moves. The surgical scar over it is rated on whether it hurts or how big it is. 2 different disabilities, 2 different codes, and they combine. That settles the premise. A scar stacks.
Here's my number though. A single painful scar is 10%. That's $180.42 a month. Real money, yes. But for one small scar, you're opening a claim, sitting for an exam, maybe waiting months. So I keep asking page by page, when is $180 worth all that?
Here's a wrinkle neither of you touched. What if the scar isn't small? A burn across the neck, a shrapnel scar down the forearm. Does your worth it math flip when the number climbs?
It flips completely. A large body scar can hit 20 or 30% on size alone, and a disfiguring one on the face reaches 50 or 80. At that point, it isn't a rounding error, it's a rating tier. My worth it worry only lives at the very bottom.
And even the bottom pays 10%, tax-free, for life.
For life, if it stays. Fair. I'll concede the floor is still money. My hesitation is only the effort, never the entitlement.
Erica sourced the stacking claim for me. Where does the regulation actually say a scar combines with the condition underneath?
38 CFR 4.14, the rule against double counting, plus the scar section's own notes. You can't rate the same disabling effect twice, but a painful scar and a limited knee are different effects. So they each rate and combine under the ratings table. Here's the ruling. Different effect, separate rating.
Kim, pin it down. What's the exact rating where you stop hesitating and just say file it?
20% and up, no hesitation, ever. 10%, file it too. But line up the evidence first so you're not chasing a maybe. That's my honest line.
Then here's where the panel lands. A scar is its own disability, and it stacks with the condition it came from. At 20% or higher, you file without a second thought. At 10, you still file, you just bring proof. Nobody here is telling you to skip money you earned. Now, where do these ratings actually hide?
Five codes, and the whole trick is matching your scar to the right one. Put it under the wrong code and the VA pays you less than you earned. So let me walk them in plain order. First, location decides everything. A scar on your head, face, or neck plays by one set of rules because those are the scars people see. A scar anywhere else plays by another, rated mostly on how big and how deep it is.
So start at the top, diagnostic code 7800, disfigurement of the head, face, or neck. It runs from 10% all the way to 80%. And it gets filed the way I'm restoring an old card catalog at home, drawer by drawer, properly labeled, because the VA scores it on a checklist we'll open next.
Off the face, it's about area. Deep body scars, the ones with tissue damage underneath, are code 7801, and they're rated by square inches. 6 square inches gets you 10%. It climbs from there.
7802 is the surface version, no deep damage, rated on area 2, just at a higher bar. The concrete point, page by page, is that a body scar's money comes from its size, not its story.
Then the one every veteran should know, 7804, painful or unstable scars. This one ignores size completely. One painful scar is 10%, no matter how small it is.
And if the scar tightens a joint so it won't bend all the way, that's 7805, rated on the lost motion. Same scar, a second door.
Here's the ruling underneath all 5. Find the disabling effect, then find the code that measures it. Miss that match and you leave money on the table.
The face has its own rulebook, and it is oddly literal. The VA hands your scar a checklist of 8 things and counts how many it hits.
Let me actually show you the checklist because seeing it lands better than hearing it. 8 characteristics of disfigurement, and the more your scar checks off, the higher the tier. 1 box equals 10%, 2 or 3 boxes, 30, 4 or 5, 50, 6 or more, 80%. And the boxes are things like a scar 5 inches long, a scar 1/4 inch wide, skin discolored over 6 square inches, or soft tissue missing underneath.
And they are gloriously specific, not roughly wide, exactly 1/4 of an inch. Not discolored over 6 square inches. The handbook's own words read like a tailor measuring a suit, page by page.
It does. Somewhere in Washington there is a ruler, a color chart, and a very patient examiner.
Laugh, but that ruler is why you document everything. In my house, we file every warranty we've ever owned, and this is the same instinct. The paper is what pays.
And it all points one direction, up. The more your scar checks off, the higher the tier climbs, right toward that top rung.
Wait, so a longer scar literally out-earns a shorter one?
On the face, yes. Size and severity are the whole score. 6 boxes with visible tissue loss is 80% life-changing money.
So count your boxes before you file. Then the question is, who actually counts them? That's the exam, and we called in someone who does it for a living.
Every rating we've named is decided in one room, the compensation and pension exam. Walk in unprepared and a real ratable scar can read on paper as nothing.
And it's physical and specific. The examiner measures the scar, length and width, checks the contour, the color, whether tissue is missing. Every one of those 8 boxes, checked or not, goes on the record. Then 2 plain questions decide the painful scar code. Does it hurt when pressed? Does the skin break down and reopen? Answer honestly, because those two questions are worth 10% by themselves.
This is exactly where you want someone who does these every week. And I still want to know about that $180 painful scar Kim flagged, sitting unclaimed in a file. Let's get her on the line.
Happy to help, and you're already on the right thread. A scar claim needs 3 things in the file: a current photo or exam of the scar, the event that caused it written into your service record, and 1 clean clinician sentence tying those 2 together. That last sentence is the nexus.
Yeah, and most veterans can do this online. Log in at va.gov, start the disability claim, and it walks you to the exact fields, actual clicks. Renata, what goes where?
The whole claim is one form, VA Form 21-526EZ. In the condition line, you write the scar exactly, painful surgical scar, right knee. Right next to it, you write the cause, the service-connected surgery or injury it came from.
Wait, back pay. How far back does a scar claim actually reach?
It reaches back to the day the paperwork lands, no earlier. The rule is 38 CFR 3.400. Your date is the day of claim, or the day the entitlement arose, and whichever comes later is the one that counts. So don't wait for the scar to look its worst. The money counts from the moment you send it in.
And the scar that pays nothing? Be straight about it.
Straight answer: a flat, painless scar, normal skin, no lost motion, off the face, rates 0. There's nothing to measure. Filing that one just burns your time. File where it hurts, where it's big, where it shows, or where it limits you. That's where I'd leave it, and thanks for having me on. One parting thought. Before your exam, pull your own medical records. If a doctor already wrote down that the scar is tender or that it limits you, half your case is already sitting in the file.
That's the part nobody hands you in a pamphlet. Appreciate you jumping on the line.
One painful scar, 10%, $180.42 a month, tax-free, for a mark already on your body.
And it scales by count, not size. 1 or 2 painful scars, 10%. 3 or 4, 20. 5 or more, 30. So a veteran with a chest full of surgical scars from one service-connected condition isn't stuck at 10. They climb.
And here's the ruling that makes it worth it. That painful scar combines with the condition underneath. The operated knee is 1 rating. The painful scar over it is a 2nd. They stack under the ratings table.
Now the part a straight advocate owes you. Combining is not adding. The VA runs percentages through its own table, so a 10% scar bolted onto an 80% veteran might not move the needle at all.
Then let me ask the thing a viewer at 90% is thinking. Is a 10% scar pointless once you're already rated high?
Not pointless, but honest. Down low, it can jump you a whole tier. Up high, it may just protect a rating you already hold. Run your own combined math before you count the check.
So the rule is simple. If the scar hurts, claim it. It's tax-free money for something you already carry, and at the bottom of the scale, it moves you up.
Yeah, and when it does move you up, the jump is bigger than people expect. Let me put real 2026 numbers on it.
A code is just an empty slot. What fills it is money. So here's the add-on I promised up top in this year's numbers.
Picture Marcus, an Army veteran already rated 30% for a disfiguring burn scar on his neck. That alone pays $552.47 a month. Now he adds the painful surgical scar on his shoulder, 10% on its own. You don't add the dollars, you combine the percentages, and 30 combined with 10 rounds up to 40 on the VA table. 40% pays $795.84 a month. Same man, same year, one more scar claimed.
Set the two side by side. 40%, $795 and change. The 30% he had before, $552. The gap is the scar.
$243.37 every month for one scar he already had.
And here's the part that changes my answer. That $243 a month is almost $2,900 a year, every year, tax-free, for the rest of his life. I came in worried the small ones weren't worth it. At the bottom of the scale, they clearly are.
Almost $3,000 a year. That's the number I came in skeptical about, and honestly, it makes me want to tell everyone to just file every
scar you can find.
No, not every scar. That's the drift I want to correct. Not the flat, painless 0% scar that just wastes your afternoon. The one that hurts, the one that's big, the one on your face. File those.
Here's the ruling to keep. The wound was your service. The scar is a separate paycheck. And the only thing standing between you and it is a form you haven't filed yet.
Here's the whole map in a line. The wound heals, but the scar it leaves is its own disability, and it stacks with the condition underneath. Disfiguring, painful, or limiting. 5 codes, 1 exam, 1 form.
The piece I'd hold on to is the 8-box checklist for the face. VA doesn't guess, it counts. So bring the photos and the measurements that let it count in your favor.
Mine's the online path. Log in at va.gov, name the scar, name the injury it came from, one field, and it's the one most people leave blank.
And the number that flipped me, $243 a month from a single painful scar bumping 30% to 40%. I stopped calling the small ones a waste.
Next time we stay on the skin, and here's the hook. There's a scar that pays even when it's completely painless and nowhere near your face. Wait until you see how that works. So here's your move tonight. Pull up a photo of any service scar and ask 3 things. Does it hurt? Is it on my face or neck? Does it limit how something moves? 1 yes is a claim you haven't filed. And do subscribe and drop a like, because that's what pushes the next benefit out to a veteran who's still leaving it unclaimed. One last thing on your way out, for the comment. Do you have a service scar you never thought to claim, and after this, are you going to? The fine print was written by someone. Ask who.
That was close to a full 10, Caroline. I reserve 10s for episodes I hosted personally, and that is just my standing policy. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.